Okay, so I am 6'8" and I've traveled to Bali, Europe, because that's where I'm from, and Medellin and Mexico, but I only stayed in Mexico for a few days. So the most experience that I have outside of Europe is Bali. I've been there for more than 4 months, and in Medellin I've also been for 4 months now. And let me tell you the story first about the weirdest experience that I've ever had, because I'm 6'8". Surely there's some pictures on the screen to prove that I'm actually this big. It was last week, so usually my stories are a bit longer back, but actually this week, this story is from this week. So I've changed my approach a little bit, and instead of going for the casual intimacy, I'm trying to go for something long term now. So the most of the points that I'm gonna answer in this video are like casual, but this story is from a serious date. And this was the prettiest girl I've ever been out with so far. Proper date here in Colombia. Wait, I can show you. I'm here in Medellin, Colombia. It actually looks super cool. Anyway, irrelevant. Let me go back to the story. So you can imagine if you're 6'8" and the girls are obviously smaller. This girl is probably like 5'6", 5'8", something normal for a Latina girl. She was like here in height. And we were walking in Provenza. If you know Medellin, it's like a little marketplace, going to a restaurant. And I usually get eyes from people, mostly girls. Girls stare at me because I'm super big. Some say uncomfortably big, and it just stands out a lot. Very tall, somewhat muscular, so it's just a very weird appearance. Guys usually don't really look at me. Luckily, I'm not into guys, but the girls are mostly staring at me. But now, this was the weirdest experience I've ever had in Medellin, the little marketplace, bunch of restaurants on the side. And I kid you not, the environment, everyone. There were people sitting down everywhere, like on the sides, and also people walking past me, whatever. I swear, 80% of people were staring at me. But this might sound normal because that's always the case. No, because usually the men are not looking and some women are not looking. Like I stand out, so I stand out. So obviously some of them are looking, but 80% of all people in that whole place were staring. Why? Because I was with a super pretty girl. And pre-selection is a real thing, but I think it's just a massive amplifier if you're very tall. And also when I was bringing her to the Uber back to her apartment, a bunch of people approached me and like were talking to me. Where are you from? You play basketball, whatever. That's to be honest, that's a very normal experience for me. But it is just an amplifier if you're with a pretty girl. Usually when I'm with Harvey, he's at the gym now, but we're living together. When I'm just with him, he's not that tall. I never really get approaches. People, I think once every time that I'm out and about for like 2 hours, maybe one person approaches me like, hey, what the fuck, you're so tall. Or they just ask for a fist bump. But bruh, if you're out with a pretty girl, maybe if you have experienced this yourself, it's just like you're a celebrity. It's crazy. But that's kind of a rough picture of what it looks like when you're out and about. If you're 6'8" and you're with a pretty girl, you will get treated as a celebrity. I think I've made 2 pictures in my whole life with random people just because I'm so tall. And most of the girls, when I was sleeping around, most of the girls wanted a picture in the elevator or something because I'm obviously like way bigger than them. So just they want that picture because it's probably high status for them. I don't really care. It's pretty girls anyway. So if they end up on the internet, I don't feel ashamed. So that was the story. It's kind of celebrity treatment, but yeah, it is obviously also quite normal. So the first question is, are the girls easy to get? I will first, for these 3 points, I will first go over Bali and Medellin, so Colombia, and then I will talk about Europe at the end, because Europe is something else. It's different from Bali and Medellin. Are girls easy to get if you're 6'8" and semi-attractive? I don't know, I don't want to call myself super attractive, but I'm not ugly. I know that. And some muscle as well, which also helps. They are easy to get. Yes, mostly on dating apps, even cold approaches. I've tried cold approaches, but I only cold approach super hot women because I'm not gonna lose aura on a cold approach. If the girl's semi-chopped, I'm only willing to do that on dating apps. But if the girl is semi-chopped in real life, I'm not gonna cold approach. But I've never had, once. I've once had an actual like girl over in my apartment from a cold approach at a party, but not like a cold approach in a supermarket or something. I think I've approached like 10 girls in my life, cold approach maybe 10, 15, and only one close. So like close rate is very low. I think if I would have done it more and maybe a slightly less attractive girls, I would have had way higher rates of conversion. But I only approach mega hot chicks, like I said, for the aura. And I also just don't do it too much because I think it's mostly inappropriate in like a cafe if someone is in a call or working. I'm like, I'm not gonna disturb them. I only do it when it's natural. But it is easy to get them. If I would approach all the girls that are staring at me, I obviously would have all of them because they're already staring at me and they probably already find me somewhat attractive. But those are probably like 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, and I'm not really interested in that. So yes, it's easy to get, especially if you just want the medium attractive woman, but I only want the super attractive ones for obvious reasons. I think everyone wants the best ones for themselves. So I didn't have a big close rate in person myself, but it would be very easy, yes. Then, can you be too big? Second question. I'd say, well, I guess I'll just give an example. Usually when I'm literally sleeping, like when I'm in the bed, and I'm in Colombia right now, so the beds are not mega big. In the Netherlands, they are somewhat bigger because people are bigger. But when I'm in Bali or when I'm in Medellin, even when I have the king bedroom, like the main bedroom, the bed is usually still too small. Or if I lay down like diagonal, whatever, like that, not like this, because then my feet are just like over the edge, but I'm like lying like this. That's very normal to me. That's what I'm just used to. So that's kind of unfortunate and annoying a little bit. For the girls itself, I mean, they usually like it. So no, you can't be too big. Maybe if you're walking with her like hand in hand outside, but I've never had a really serious relationship, so I don't have too many of those experiences. I mainly had experiences with casual girls. They like it because they just come here for that. And now I'm with like trying to get more serious relationships. It might be somewhat inconvenient when you're trying to hold hands. Like I just do like this and then she pulls her arm around my bicep, my arm. That works. But there are just some small minor inconveniences because I'm so big. Maybe some pictures look slightly weird, but I guess you're somewhat of an attraction, you know, because it's so unusual. So like if she wants you to hold her, like she's super far from the ground, which is girls like that. I've done that. They enjoy that. It's fun for them. Like girls are just all about having fun. So yeah, I think the benefits way higher than the negatives. Then the second last topic, dating apps. And once again, I'm still only talking about Bali and Medellin because Europe is at the end of the video. Dating apps in Bali and Medellin. Bali was still somewhat hard. I don't know, to be honest, I also don't like Asians that much, just not my type. I've had a few there, but I'm not that much of a fan. You can always get the sub 4s, obviously, but I don't want those. So to get a really attractive Asians, not super easy, but you just have a very easy icebreaker on dating apps with saying like, with your height, someone like, oh, you're so small, or they talk to you like, what the fuck, are you really that tall? It's just very easy to open up conversations and to kind of shock them a little bit. Like if you're average and everything, then you have to use more creativity. But if you're super tall, then the initial shock effect is already there. So most girls would reply if you text them because they've seen it on your profile, especially if you put 6'8" or 2 meters tall. Then they are already intrigued, just only to see if it's real. But I've had a few. It is doable. In the gym in Asia, like Asians are even smaller than Colombian people. So I think the shock effect was even bigger in Bali, in Indonesia. In the gym there, I was really stared at by a woman. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then you're wearing your tank top, so your muscles stand out a little bit more. Girls were staring at you. On dating apps specifically, it was still quite easy, but Medellin, so let's go over to Medellin, way easier. Luckily, I also like Latinas way more. I've had the easiest conversions ever on dating apps in Medellin, maybe because I'm such a attraction. In Bali, like I think Indonesian Asian culture is slightly more shy and less like colorful. And in Colombia, girls are slightly more hoey, I think. I think that's objectively right. Anyway, the ones that I've obviously met with, and that was and like it's the same kind of woman, right? Degenerate girls are degenerate in Colombia and in Bali, but they were just more degenerate in Colombia. And luckily, I like Latinas, so yeah, that was the easiest thing ever, to be honest. I get so many likes in Medellin. In Bali, I got a few as well, but Medellin is like double the likes, and just easier. The dating apps are super easy here in Medellin. Oh yeah, this is by the way all for casual stuff and just sleeping with them and kind of hanging around with them. If you really want a relationship, I don't know, I'm trying that right now, so I can't really speak about that. Okay, last question. How was Europe then? If I'm gassing up Europe and like announcing it this big, because Europe didn't make a single difference. Okay, to be honest, Spain is still quite easy. I tried the dating apps, I saw girls looking, and those are still Latinas in a way, of course, Spanish culture. So that was similar to here in Medellin, but bro, in the Netherlands or in Germany or Belgium, whatever, not special. Nobody cares. Like dating apps in person, like if I'm in the gym, I'm one of the 6'8" guys, especially in the Netherlands, of course, super tall country, and that's where I spend most of my time in my life. Not special. You still stand out, but girls don't stare at you. It's also not that much of a hoe culture, so it's not like you're not that desirable. Girls are more masculine in Europe, and in South America they're way more feminine, so they also they accept their femininity and their desire for men more. So maybe that's why they feel more allowed to stare, to like you on Tinder, whatever. In Europe it's more serious, I feel like. And I also didn't have the wealth in the Netherlands, because like my money is double the worth here than it is in the Netherlands. I can do so much more cool stuff here with my money than I can in the Netherlands. So maybe if I've had like way more money in the Netherlands, it would have been way more extreme. But with the current status, situation, and my current wealth, it is just way more in Bali and in Medellin. Dating apps in the Netherlands were utterly useless. Like bear in mind, I have the same profile with the same pictures. In Tinder in Bali, like 150 likes in 4 weeks. In Medellin, 250 likes in 4 weeks. This is all with Tinder Gold, by the way, because I mean, then you can just see who likes you and you can just cherry pick them. In the Netherlands, 2 likes in 8 weeks. It's actually crazy. I don't know what I did wrong, like for the European girls, but I'm also not that much into European girls on the street, not staring. I can still get girls. I've still had girls in Europe, in the Netherlands, and I can get them in Spain. But yeah, that's a very big difference. So if you were curious about all of that, then that's your answer. Anyway, that was more on the girls' side of the traveling. If you want to see more of my traveling in general, I recommend you to watch this video here. I'm going to talk way more about traveling on this channel, so click here.